Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Psychosin Reviews here on the Psychosin Project channel on YouTube. I know it's been a while, apologies for that. Obviously with all that's going on in the world, I've been working quite a lot. I've got some reviews and that coming up. But today, even though I'm about 2 weeks late to this, I'm going to be reviewing the brand new 11th studio album, full studio album of new material by the mighty Marilyn Manson, his new album, We Are Chaos. Is it as good as the last album? Is it a return to form? Or is it going back to the bad days of, I can't even remember the album now, that's how forgettable it was, but it wasn't a good album. We'll get to that when I'll do the ranked episode coming up soon, trust me. I will get on that, within 2 months anyway. So, is it any good? Well, let's give it a listen and see whether it's worth your time. We Are Chaos is the 11th studio album by the metal legend known as Marilyn Manson, and yeah, this is a bit different to what he's done before. If you're expecting another album full of raging metal bangers like his last album, Heaven Upside Down, you're going to be sorely disappointed, although you probably could have told that from the lead-off single being the title track, We Are Chaos itself. This is a very more subtle and, kind of downplayed album, as it were. The production itself as well is a little bit muffled, but it works in the song's favour, in the album's favour. It kicks off with Red, Black and Blue, which is I'm going to say this right up, I've really enjoyed this album. Like, if that's all you're asking for, yes, this is a good Manson album, just don't expect anything extremely heavy. If anything, it's probably his quietest album yet, but that's not a bad thing at all. But yeah, we kick off with Red, Black and Blue, and this is very much an album with two halves. The first half is very kind of downplayed and subtle, and the second half is where things start getting a bit heavier. Not massively heavy, but a bit heavier. And yeah, we then go into the single, We Are Chaos, which, if you've heard, interesting choice for the single, although definitely one of the best songs on the album for me. Not as any really bad songs, to be honest with you. There's nothing here that made me go, oh God, what are you doing? But yeah, I really enjoy the single. If you didn't like the single, you may not get on with this album, it has to be said, but the single, the first time I heard it, it had me hooked. And, you know, full disclosure, I am a Manson fan, but I haven't loved everything he's done. However, that's coming up in a ranked episode later on, probably later on this week, depending on what other reviews I have to get round to doing this week, of which some are coming up. And yeah, just throughout this album as we get on, along with Don't Chase the Dead, Paint You With My Love, and Halfway and One Step Forward, that's the first half of the album. That's the more very kind of subtle, slightly acoustic, more quieter numbers on the album to set you up. And then the album goes into the second half of the continuing narrative, I suppose, of the album, into the more heavier moments, although not too heavy. And throughout the album you get a very, very strong feeling that the whole album is very much a kind of greatest hits of Manson's previous work, while also introducing new elements from what he's been influenced by nowadays. Hence that cover of the country song he done a few months ago, quite just before the whole, you know, quarantine and global bastard happened. And altogether, like, you can feel very strong Bowie influence, absolutely. And there's to me, there was one or two songs that had a bit of a T-Rex influence as well. But I'm also old as fuck, so, you know, that might have been why I have to know what I'm hearing there. But it's very kind of, what's the word, 70s rock feel to the whole album, much like his previous album Pale Emperor, while being brought up to date with some like elements from his past. One or two of the songs even reminded me of his absolute classic Mechanical Animals album as well, which again, very Bowie influenced, very glam metal influenced, glam rock influenced, and yeah, I mean, all in all, if you are a long-time Manson fan, I mean, by now you've already got this. I know this review is late, like the album's been out for about a week, 2 weeks by now, here in the UK anyway, and you've heard it, you've probably listened to it a million times, you've made your own decision on whether you love it or not. Personally, I really enjoyed this album. I think I actually enjoyed it more than Heaven Upside Down, and I'm a guy who generally likes his heavier stuff, especially when it comes to Marilyn Manson. I will forever stand Mechanical Animals and Antichrist Superstar, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, this is definitely a return to form again. Not to say that his last cut of albums weren't as well, because again, if you look back, you know I loved the last few albums as well. But yeah, this is definitely something different from Marilyn Manson, something interesting, and something that really does hold your attention to see where it goes. And throughout the album, it does this kind of, it's got to be a weird point of reference, but that kind of awesome thing that Radiohead does, where as good as the melodies and all that are, there's just a sense of something's wrong underpinning the entire album, underpinning the sound of every song, and that's very, very much appreciated. And obviously, it's surprised me that it's taken Manson to do something like this, but he's now done it. It's absolutely superb. The standout tracks for me are We Are Chaos, Don't Chase the Dead, Paint You With My Love, Perfume's a really good rocker, and Keep My Head Together. And the album ends on the really, really quite gorgeous ballad, sort of Broken Needle. No, Broken Needle. So there you go, We Are Chaos by Marilyn Manson. Gets 4.5 out of 5 from me. It's going to be interesting to see what he does next, because this really does feel like a kind of reaction to go in a completely different direction to what he did his last album. So we might be back to a full-on overblown rock metal album next, or he might continue in this style depending on who he keeps in the band and who he writes with. Anyway, there you go. I will have more videos up soon. I do apologise that they're very scant at the moment, but I've been working and there's not been that many amazing new releases that I've been interested in, but I've got 2 more reviews coming up at the very least of upcoming releases, and I'm going to start doing more of the Rank series, and my next one will probably be on Marilyn Manson. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.